proctor will join you for your efforts. He will be the one doing the serving, and then your job is to debrief his efforts. So Justin is coming to a town near you to serve the homeless, sweep the streets, and basically give away all he has. And watching him be a great disciple like that will do a lot for your life. Now, so serving other people, though, is really is that loving your neighbors. It's funny because I've been on so many ordination councils for deacons and pastors, and and we've never asked the question. We ask the question like, how many wives do you have? Are your kids, living in the faith and all that stuff? I have never been on an ordination council where we ask the question, well, how's that loving your neighbor thing going? See, it seems to me we have so taken this idea that you can become a disciple absent service. Are you kidding? Or we just really only glamorize or legitimize certain bandwidth of service. Now, if you're serving in the choir and you're a church ministry leader, that's okay. That counts. But that thing about being a coach and being a real estate agent, about being a home builder, all of that service you do outside of the church somehow doesn't count the same. Now, you know better than that, but I'm just here to challenge that and to say that all of our lives, I mean, when we help a neighbor that's in need, when we help a coworker solve a problem with the computer software that they should have gotten in that training course, then it helps us to, all of that counts. And so this is how we're growing as human beings. Now, you would expect me to say this, because I've already said it, but I'm going to tease it out here, that discipling has to be or people development has to be life-centric. I'll give you an example to show you what I mean. But in other words, don't put life aside to practice becoming a follower. Just think that if you deal with biblical passages and your personal disciplines of prayer and fasting and Bible study, in fact, I'll tell you, I thought I was a patient person until I got married. Because what's interesting is when you're having to accommodate someone else into your life, you suddenly are brought full-faced with my lack of patience or my frustrations. It's as we work this stuff out in real life is where the stuff shows up. And so all of that fruit of the Spirit, it's easy for me to do that in a cave by myself. It's just dealing with these dunderheaded others, these other people that don't deserve the blessings that I have for them. Thank God I'm not like all these others. But I'll give you an example. The missional community I'm a part of, we came in contact with a family that was in great need a few years ago. Multiple birth situation, not anticipated. This was not a fertility clinic success story. This was a woman who had a 1-month-old baby, suddenly discovering that she was pregnant with 6 other babies. And one dies, 5 are delivered, all premature, of course, and all boys. The 1-month-old was a boy. All 5 of the new babies are boys, and there's a 7-year-old son in the home as well. So 7 boys. This is pretty remarkable. And but giving birth to 5, and this couple had fallen through the cracks. No one was making a reality TV show about them. Let's just say it that way. They had need of everything when we met them. Everything. In fact, one of the babies coded in the back seat of our car. Kathy, walked in and saw the babies in distress. Now, if you're a mom and you don't have help and you've got 5 babies, you don't know which one is in distress because it all looks the same to you because you hadn't slept, you haven't eaten. You have no idea. It's just this tapestry, of just chaos. But Kathy saw this baby was in trouble, so immediately scooped the baby up. In fact, there was no car. If she had noticed, she would have to call 911, wait for the ambulance to show up, and the baby would not have made it. So that's the situation we're talking about. Well, the good news is, fast forward months later, and things are much better. We've got a lot of service arranged, and a lot of people are helping. And their home, Kathy was able to help in this kind of a redesign of their home so that there could be a room that would accommodate 5 cribs, and patch the ceiling and the floor and all that kind of business. And so it was a great experience. But we had this well-meaning person call Kathy late one afternoon and says, "I've heard what you're doing for the Joneses, and I'd like to help. I'd like to come get the mom, give her a break one afternoon a week, take her outside, do a Bible study with her, mentor her." And Kathy, just like that, said, "Why don't you come do laundry one afternoon a week?" And then her reply, she followed up with that, said, when Susan, let's say, when Susan and I do laundry together, we talk about everything. And so you see, one approach to people development is, let me come get someone, take them out of life, create an artificial experience, poke some information at them, and then send them back in to plug and play. Well, the number of people that really grow like that is pretty small. It would include you, of course, because you're fabulously gifted to do that, and the folks in this room. But the rest of the world population, really, most of us don't grow like that. Adults particularly grow by solving problems, dealing with the stuff that's in front of them. And so, what Kathy was saying is, get in the middle of life. Now, a life-centric approach requires relationship, and it requires that we're actually there. And that's one of the real challenges, of course, to a people development culture, is people actually have to be present in other people's lives. In fact, I talked with a guy, that whole thing about being present, by the way, I talked to a professor this week, and his comment was about college students. He said, the problem that I'm running into is that they're never there, even when they're there. Because of our connectedness and media and Twittering and Facebooking and iPhoning and everything else that's going on. I know, put that down. I saw you just now reached to fool with the email while I was talking to you about this. And so, it's because we are so gadgetized and we have so many things going on, just actually being literally present with people. In fact, I will tell you, it's one of my prayers that I pray. Lord, help me be where I am today. Because it's easy to be everywhere else but where we are. Even, as a father and dad early on, when my kids were young and still at home, I would pray routinely on the way home from the office, Lord, help me be present with my kids. I need to be with them. So part of our serving others is to be with them. But let me get back to the point I was making, is that Kathy was saying, if you'll build a relationship and come serve together and come get involved in this woman's life, then as you're doing life with her, you'll be able to speak into her those things, and with far more possibility that those truths will take root. And our typical helping of people is like a drive-by shooting. We dump money and we dump material and we dump stuff on folks, and then we are frustrated when they don't apply that. It takes a lot of walking and a lot of hand-holding, a lot of just being there, and then folks will still sometimes we don't learn in linear straight lines. And if we have years, for instance, especially as we're serving other people, we will be serving some people who've been making bad choices for years, unlike you and me that consistently make great choices. But others maybe are more obviously bad choices in terms of life habits, things that, and you know what? You don't undo those habits just like that. And so people, they don't grow in straight lines. They wander around, they relapse, they make poor choices that they've been making for years. And so it's really a challenge. But that's what grows us too, is to walk along beside people who are showing us our own bad choices, but also that are having to be actually refurbished from the inside out. Now, there's limits. Don't take anything that as a, so you have to help someone continue to make poor choices for 30 years. I'm not saying that at all. I hope you get it. There's one last thing I want to say before they cut the camera off, and I'm almost there. They're giving me this sign. And you've probably already gone to the fridge for something. Hope you enjoy it. Don't send it to me. I'm okay. And that is that it's intergenerational. And I've not allowed myself enough time here to talk about this, but I will say this is why God put us in families, and this is why, is in your small groups that typically tend to be more generationally siloed, or program church that has kids in one area and the adults over here and the students over here, and they don't mix it up. I will tell you that your life development process, your life development growth is going to be in an intergenerational path, and the good news is it keeps you. I was just talking to a woman yesterday. They have an adopted son. This woman is 72 years old. Her adopted son is an 8th grader, and her comment to me was, "He's keeping us young." Well, the truth is, he may be keeping her and other sleepless as well, and some other things. But that kind of learning up and down the generational food chain is a critical part of our continuing to grow. And I would say, particularly if you're listening to this and you don't have young people in your life, go rent some young people. Now, there are those of you who just heard that would like to give your young people away free, but and not charge for it. But if you have to borrow, beg, steal some millennials into your life, the questions they will ask you will keep you growing. And by the way, those seniors, some of my best friends and mentors are all in their 70s. You think I'm in my 70s? Not yet. But these are folks that are some of the youngest people I know, and I'm learning so much from their view of the world. And so, an intergenerational missional community, an intergenerational service group or small group, this is going to be one of your best paths to your own people development. Well, I don't want to take any more questions from you now. I am through with this session. And I hope you come back, because next session we'll talk more. No, I'm going to talk more. You're going to listen some more next session. See you then.